at Envato Tuts Plus. And together, you and me are going to learn the basics of Adobe Illustrator. Now, this course is for beginners. There is no need to have any previous knowledge in Adobe Illustrator or design or drawing or illustration. Okay, we're going to start right at the beginning and work our way through step by step. During this course, we're going to work through practical real-world projects together, learning the tips and techniques necessary to make each of those projects happen. We'll start with the techniques that you'll need to create just about anything in Illustrator, including custom shapes, the wonderful shape builder, and together use curvature tool. We'll explore lines and brushes. You'll master how to use and manipulate type. We'll use our new type skills to make our print flyer. We'll work through how to create your own custom logos and icons. I'll show you the sneaky secrets Illustrator has to discover and use beautiful colors and gradients. You'll learn how to push, pull, cut, and manipulate artwork like this. We'll take our drawings and make repeatable patterns like this. And I'll easily show you how to redraw these images in this vector style. Last but not least, we'll make sure that you can save and export your print and web documents like a professional. Also, throughout the course, I set lots of class exercises so that you can practice all the tips and tricks and techniques you're learning as you move through the course. So if you've never opened up Illustrator, or you have and you struggled a little bit with it, follow me and I will show you how to make beautiful artwork in Adobe Illustrator. All right, to get started, what you need to do is you need to download the exercise files. So there'll be a link on this page for source files. So look for the source files. In there is everything that we work on together during the course. Plus it has all of the things that I set for you as class examples. So at the end of a lot of the videos, I kind of set some not homework, fun things to practice the skills you're learning. When you finish those practice lessons, not homework, I'd love to see them. So there's a couple of ways of sharing them. One is in the forum here on Envato Tuts Plus. So if you go to the forum and search for Adobe Illustrator for beginners, okay, and you'll be able to post your exercises in there. The other thing you can do is tag us on social media. So post your examples. On Twitter, we are two things. We are Tuts Plus Design, and also personally, I am Dan Loves Adobe. So tag both of us. On Instagram, it's Bring Your Own Laptop. Okay, so yeah, share what you've done, share with the world. Make sure you tag us so we can comment and look at it as well. The other thing to do is, or the next thing we need to do is we need to go through and just get our computers all looking the same. So yours looks like mine, and we're going to reset the workspace and work on, make sure we've got the right units and increments and that sort of stuff to get started. So let's jump into the computer now and sort that out. First up, let's open up a file so that we can get our workspace similar. So your version of Illustrator looks the same as mine. Because the trouble sometimes with this first start screen here is it can be different for everybody. So let's go to File and let's go to Open. Now what you want to do is you want to find the exercise files you've downloaded. Here they're here, exercise files, Illustrator. And in here, I want you to find the file called Getting Started and then click the Open button. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to reset our workspace just so that we're all looking the same. And we can do it along the top here. There's this little app bar, okay? And yours might say something different in here, but drop this down. And what you want to do is you want to click on Essentials. You want to see if there's a tick next to it. So click on it. And the second thing you want to do is come down to that exact same menu and go to Reset Essentials. And that'll just put it back to kind of a default setting. Now, if yours still looks different, it might be that you're using an earlier version of Illustrator. And what that's going to mean for you is that you can continue along with this course. Say 90% of the course is going to be still fine for you. What you're going to have a little bit of trouble with is finding out where some of these menus are because they've moved around just a tiny bit. What I mean by that, if I grab my type tool and I click and I start typing, you can see over here, it automatically says, here's my character panel and there's my font and font sizes. This properties panel did not exist in earlier versions of Illustrator. Super handy, I love it. But in earlier versions, what you're going to have to do is when I'm looking at this character panel or things in this appearance, what you're going to have to do is go up to Window and open them separately. This is how older versions worked. If I go down to Type, there's Character. Okay, so it's the same panel. Can you see? He matches him, but he's just in this separate little window. So that's going to be a fun game if you're using, say, CS6 or CS5. But don't worry, you can continue on with most of this course. So just make sure you've set to essentials and that you've reset them. Next thing, let's look at the units and increments. Now to change the units you're using, what you need to do is have nothing selected. The best way to have nothing selected is grab your black arrow, the selection tool here, and just click off in this gray area here, just so that nothing is selected. Watch when I select on something, this properties panel changes, but when I click on the background here into kind of like no man's land, it gives me general overall settings for the document. In this case, it's currently set to centimeters. Okay, I'm going to change mine and work in inches in this course. But let's say we're working, say, with some web or UI design work in Illustrator. You can click on pixels. It doesn't really matter, but this is the place to change it. It's in a slightly different place than, say, a lot of the other Adobe products like Photoshop or InDesign, where it's kind of done in the preferences. So that's just something to note here. So I'm going to pick inches. One last thing we'll do before we move on to start making things is just some basic navigation. We'll cover a lot more during the course, but zooming in and out and moving around is quite important. So there is a long way. You can use this, see this little magnifying glass here, the zoom tool, click on that and you click once, click twice, okay, and it just keeps zooming in. To zoom out, you can hold down the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on a PC. So to look down your keyboard, if you're using a Mac, it's the Option key. If you're a PC, it's the Alt key. And you can see the little icon changes from a plus to a minus, and then I just click again with my left mouse button, okay, and it just zooms out. So that's the long way. What you'll find is I'm not going to cover too many shortcuts really early on, but the one everyone uses to zoom in and out is on a Mac, hold down your Command key and tap plus. If you're on a PC, hold down the Control key and tap plus. Okay, so plus is just up in your numbers, kind of along the top of your keyboard, there's a plus and a minus. So minus zooms out, plus zooms in. One last little bit of navigation is to move around. Say I want to see kind of down a bit further. See these little sliders on the side here? Okay, it'll look a little different on a PC, but there'll be a little kind of a slider bar that you can go up and down. Same with down the bottom here, you can go left and right. Okay, that is the long, painful way. That is fine when you're new, you can do that way. But let's do one last little shortcut is if you hold down the space bar, can you see at the moment I'm on my selection tool? Okay, but if I hold spacebar down, look at the icon that changes, becomes a little hand. Okay, so spacebar down becomes a little hand, and that just means click, hold, and drag. Okay, so spacebar down, clicking the mouse, and just dragging it around. All right, that's it for the boring navigation stuff in Illustrator. I will remind you of those shortcuts throughout the course, so don't worry. But now, boring stuff over, let's get into the super exciting world of creating things in Illustrator using shapes and lines. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Hi there.